Heat and humidity across the Northeast. Some areas hitting the upper 90s to around 100 degrees. A little less heat in the coming days, but still hot and still very humid. Some flash flooding over parts of the Ohio and Tennessee Valley and into the central Appalachians, the southern central plains, still seeing some heat. And we've got the potential for some flash flooding out in the southwest. All that and more. We'll take a look at the weekend and a little long range right here on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. It's not quite ready to get time to get ready for winter, but you certainly can prep yourself up with regards to, well, maybe you need to fix up your yard after this terrible summer with not much rain. As we head into the fall, plenty of mulch still available in all different colors. And you're also going to see things that you might need with regards to hurricane preparedness. So head over to Omni, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So as we start the show tonight, poor Joe Rayo, because apparently there was a power outage at his home. And they said that they were going to have the power back by 7:30. So it is now 7:32, and he may not have his power back. But I will be monitoring to let him in if he should come on. In the meantime, I am just going to carry solo. Just want to give you a heads up. Got to move the Sunday show. Instead of being at 11 a.m., the Sunday show will be either 7 or 7:30. I'll have to wait till I talk to Joe with regards to that, but it will be a Sunday evening Joe and Joe weather show, not a Sunday morning Joe and Joe weather show. So I hope everybody managed to get through today. It was dreadfully hot. A little bit different from what happened the last time back last week when we had that really hot day. The humidity was not as big a problem. Today, the humidity was a problem. We had dew points up around and over 70 everywhere. I mean, it really sort of felt like being inside a hot sponge. Uh, it's not fun. And unfortunately, this next weather front that's coming through from the west for tomorrow, we've been getting these weather systems that have been coming through, these weak weather fronts. You really can't call them cold fronts because, well, it doesn't get colder behind the front. But we're getting a dew point relief for 24 to 36 hours, and then we get the next front and heat up ahead of it, then get the next front, and on and on. But this time around, what's happening is that this front is actually peaking in intensity right now, and it's weakening as it moves eastward. So that once it passes Friday evening, it's just going to basically fall apart and die. You probably won't even be able to find it on a surface map come Saturday. As Joe Rayo mentioned last night, the corpse of that cold front will be left. And as far as shower and thunderstorm activity today, the radar really got busy across Pennsylvania and still is. And in parts of the mid-Atlantic states, we're going to take a look at that, and also in parts of upstate New York. But a big gap developed right in between. So if you're in eastern Pennsylvania, to most of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, you're not going to see anything from this weather front, especially now as we're getting closer to sunset and beyond sunset, and the daytime heating is long done. These storms are just going to die out. Welcome to everybody watching the show tonight. Welcome to those of you on the chat board, and a happy birthday to Chuck Cardillo, who is on the chat board tonight. We wish him well. Birthdays are good, even though the number value goes up. As long as you keep having them, it's a good thing. And we'll leave it at that. So, without further delay, let's jump over to the satellite loop here. And a little awkward for me because I used to do these shows by myself, and then the last three plus years doing it with Joe, it's hard now when you're by yourself trying to get this done. So just a couple of things of note on the satellite loop. And if you look on the lower right, we still have that upper low. It's been well east of the Florida coast. It is not a tropical system. This is a cold upper air low. It is beginning to move northwestward, and it eventually will just get absorbed by what's going on up to the northeast of it, and it should be mostly gone by the time we get to the weekend. We also been looking at another upper low in the central Gulf Coast that has been producing downpours from time to time there. Nothing exceptional, but more of the convection has drifted further to the south. However, we should point out that conditions here are not favorable for tropical cyclone development. This is another cold feature in the upper layers of the atmosphere. And actually, if you look up to the northwest, you can see there's a little trough there that is dropping southwestward back into Texas. So that's part of that whole upper air feature. Pretty busy, though, with cloud cover in the southwest, getting a lot of it moved into southern California and on up into Nevada, where we're getting some rain, and we have flash flood watches up for a good portion of the state of Nevada. And further north, it is quiet for the most part in the Pacific Northwest, and mostly quiet in the central and northern plains. It was another day of heat, though, in some of those areas today. And speaking of the heat, why don't we take a look at some of the high temperatures that we are experiencing. Just going to give me a moment here. Those are the highs. We're going to start up in New England. Just going to pull up the show on my phone so I can monitor the chat board. So in case I do something silly or you can't hear me, I can at least read. You can always put a message up on the chat board to let me know that there's a problem. So just give me a moment here. I just thought now about doing this. Okay, that was yesterday's show. Where is today's? There we go. So let me turn the volume down. Sorry to do this right now. I should have thought of this before. But okay, so this is going to have to wait through this little ad to play through. And there's the chat. Okay, excellent. And Melvin Forshaw, new to the chat board. Hello, Joe Choppy. Yes, that's close, but I'll accept it. I've had my name butchered over the years, so I don't have a thin skin about such things. Joe Choppy is fine. Actually, somebody they used to call me that in high school. They used to call me the Chopper. That didn't last very long, but that's what they called me. Anyway, here are the highs for today. And we've got a couple of 100-degree readings that showed up. Albany got to 99. 99 degrees for the high at Albany International Airport. Right now in Albany, 75. They had a thunderstorm go by there, and it brought the temperatures down. 99 degrees for a high today at Boston's Logan Airport, and right now it's 86. So it has cooled off, although the wind has gone south, so there's a little bit of an ocean component with the south wind there. 101 was measured at Ware River at Bear Falls, so this was one of those ASOS stations, got to 101. 97 at Fitchburg Municipal Airport with a high there. It's still 90 degrees right now as it's 7:33. 99 at Poughkeepsie for a high. And by the way, the Albany and the Poughkeepsie readings, per the National Weather Service in Albany, pointing out that those were records. And as we go further south, now I happened to catch this afternoon. Newark got to 99 and stopped because what happened was the sea breeze came in and the wind turned to the east-southeast and came right off New York Harbor and points south and east of there, and the temperature dropped off. It went from 99 and 91 in a very, very short period of time. I don't think it got much lower than that. Right now at Newark, it is still at 90 degrees. They have a southeast wind at 3 miles an hour. Temperatures around New York City generally topped at around 93, 94, 95 on Long Island. Islip just got to 90 and then stopped. We had a 100-degree high in New Middlesex County, where it's 96 at the moment after reaching 100. Somerville Airport got to 99, so they're 88 at this time. And it'll go a little bit further southwest if we check out southern New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania, where we are. Philadelphia 97, currently 93. Mount Holly, I believe that's Mount Holly. Yes, 99 in Mount Holly, and now currently at 93. Vineland, New Jersey, one of the hot spots here, 101 for a high there, and currently at 88. It's a little bit cooler right along the New Jersey shore. Monmouth Beach is at 84. And if you're right on the beaches, it's probably sitting right around 80, and you're getting a nice breeze. But just inland, it got ridiculously hot. And then down in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, Carroll County Regional, Jackby Poag Field got to 100 degrees, currently at 77, and that's because they had a thunderstorm go by there. Let's check out around Baltimore. Baltimore Washington International Airport at 75. They reached 99. And Washington, D.C. Reagan Regional Airport right now is 76 after reaching a high of 95. So a very large area from northeastern Virginia all the way up through upstate New York got well up into the 90s. Now here's the radar loop. And there are some severe thunderstorm warnings in play at the moment in parts of eastern Maryland, and some special marine warnings in Chesapeake Bay. These thunderstorms, as the northern edge of that extends into southeastern Pennsylvania. I think those are on the week. They're starting to weaken now, and I think they're going to fall apart before they reach, say, Philadelphia and Trenton, if they even reach there at all. There's a cell in northeastern Pennsylvania along Route 80. A small one, but it is there and notable, is moving eastward. So a little bit of that is getting into northwest New Jersey, but not enough to really cause any kind, bring anything significant as far as rainfall is concerned, from what I can see. Other downpours in southern Pennsylvania. There were also some patchy areas through Ohio and down into parts of Kentucky. And southern Indiana. There was a rather large area of rain this morning in Missouri, southern Illinois, and southern Indiana, moving eastward. The same thing happened yesterday, and it just basically fell apart. It's a lot weaker than what's left of it has now translated further east, and that's a good thing because of all the rains that they've had there in the last 10 days. Scattered showers and thunderstorms in the southeast tonight, a few pockets here and there, but nothing really to write home about. Also in Florida, looks like they've passed their daytime heating peak, and they're starting to weaken as they move offshore around Tampa Bay and points south. In southern Louisiana, we're seeing some showers and storms in patches, and again, that's part of that upper low. Moving on to the southwest, you see some strong storms up in northern Texas, also some patches in New Mexico and up into Colorado and Utah, and very busy radars in Nevada and in southern interior California, central and south, with some showers and some thunderstorms and even some flash flooding. So some much needed rain coming to these areas thanks to that wonderful monsoon that sets up, and it's set up a few weeks ago, and it's remained rather active. Also seeing some storms up here in parts of Montana. The Storm Prediction Center not really showing a whole lot with respect to severe weather expectations tonight. We don't have any severe thunderstorm watches up anywhere, just marginal risk areas being indicated in what's left of upstate New York, with the marginal risk, and into Vermont and New Hampshire, down into Virginia. Again, much of these storms now have sort of played through, and we've got it extending down through southern Ohio and into Kentucky and a small portion of western Tennessee. A couple of small areas of marginal risk governing the activity that's out to the west. Now for tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has just general thunderstorms in the east, except for a small area of marginal risk in northeastern Virginia and northwestern Virginia as well. So I kind of think that there's a chance that we could see SPC do something with this, where they maybe have a broader area of marginal risk set up for tomorrow. That's kind of the way I was looking at it with respect to potential here. We're in a pat. We've certainly seen how these thunderstorms really don't do very much when they come into the coastal plain. Uh, Not that it's happened all the time where they've fallen apart, but a lot of times they have, and I don't really see anything different with regards to tomorrow with these storms. Some of you are going to see them, some of you will not see them. Marginal risk from Nebraska into the eastern Dakotas and on up into a small portion of western Minnesota. And moving on to Saturday, we are just going to be in, I think, general thunderstorms here in the east in case we get something that pops up from what's left of that old dying front that'll be moving through tomorrow, and a small area of marginal risk back through parts of Nebraska and on up into southeastern South Dakota. Wait, did they just change that on me? No, there it goes. I don't know. Just it looked like my something jumped. Southern Minnesota, northwestern Iowa, and into Minnesota. I'm just going to stop for a moment and let me just get this. Let me come back full screen. My chat on my phone is not moving, so I just want to check everybody on the chat board, make sure everything is okay. And I'm seeing from the chat board that everything is okay. Jay-Z Videography hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Jay-Z. Flying solo today. I see. Hope all is well. What's the timing of these storms tomorrow? I got a buddy that's a pilot for Atlas Cargo and will be flying into JFK. There may be some storms that form late morning, early afternoon, and then again later in the day. I think the ones that form early will be mostly inland. I can't guarantee that something might not pop up. But then there'll be another stronger area of storms that may set up from New York City south late in the day tomorrow and into tomorrow night. So just want to point that out with regards to tomorrow. And I just want to, let's see. I thought I saw there's another super chat hit. Unfortunately, it looks like I've lost it, so I can't see who it is. So whoever it was that hit super chat earlier, that if I'm sorry that I missed you here, but thank you so much for doing so. It may pop up again a little bit later on. Okay, everybody says everything's okay. Nobody is. By the way, if for more, you can click on the link that I pinned up to the top of the chat board and check out some of my thoughts regarding the weekend and into early next week. And that's on MedX, and you can follow me there on MedX as well. All right, let's go to WPC. And here we are. Let's go to WPC. Okay, that's not working. That didn't work well. Try it again. Now let's go to WPC. There we go. All right, so WPC. This is the Weather Prediction Center's rainfall forecast. And I just got a text message from Mrs. Rayo saying that the power is still out. And therefore, he will not be joining us tonight. Just got the message right now. All right, so this is our forecast. This is WPC's forecast from earlier, so give it a quick refresh. And you can find all this if you go to wpc.ncep.noaa.gov. So much material there is available. So this is the rainfall from tonight into tomorrow night. So 8 o'clock tonight to 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And you can see from the standpoint of the amounts, it's mostly a quarter of an inch or less. Now, there are a few pockets here in the Northeast down into Pennsylvania where you see some of the darker greens and then the blue shows up. Those are a half inch plus. The thing is as I always say, when you're dealing with convection, it's really very hard to get put an accurate depiction of what the rainfall amounts are going to be like, because you could get a thunderstorm that winds up sitting over you and you get a quick couple of inches of rain out of it. I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow, but you never know. So just with that little footnote there, most of the rainfall here is not going to really amount to too much. Heavier rains of 1.5 inches plus, though, are possible in parts of Kentucky and western Tennessee. Small areas there being indicated. Otherwise, it's basically a 1/2 inch to maybe as much as an inch, inch and a quarter. Otherwise, in the southeast and Florida, it's the typical summertime afternoon thunderstorms. Most of the heavier rains in the central Gulf Coast are actually moving out offshore now, and we're seeing some sizable rains tomorrow, upwards to a 1/2 inch plus in parts of Nevada and to California and also into New Mexico. And the 7-day totals here remain substantial in the Ohio Valley. We're looking at possibility of several additional inches of rain in the next 7 days from western Tennessee across Kentucky, southernmost Indiana and Ohio, and West Virginia. Anywhere from 1.5 inches to maybe as much as 3. The Northeast is pretty much 1/2 to 3/4 in most places, maybe some spots upwards of about an inch or so. The Florida West Coast and along the Gulf Coast a little busy there, and also a bit busy in the Southwest. So I want to do a little bit of upper air. And before we do that, let me just show you the teleconnections here because I think they're important. The Pacific North America Index measures pressure changes across the Pacific and North America. When you have a positive number, a positive value, it means that you have a tendency for more ridging to move in the western part of the United States and more troughing in the east. This is not a strong positive reading. We're actually in a negative mode at the moment. But the trend of the models showing it going positive continues. And you can see the black dash line there. It goes slightly positive, about half a standard deviation during the next couple of weeks. Now, that's an average of all the different member models. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of them that are above and some of them way above the way above on the PNA, almost 2 standard deviations. So the higher the number here, the higher the positive value, the stronger the ridge that's out in the west, and consequently, the deeper the trough that you might have in the east. Now, when I say the east, it could be anywhere from just offshore to all the way back to the Mississippi River. So where the trough sets up, we don't know. As far as the ridge is concerned, the same. It could be in the Rockies. It could be along the West Coast. So it's a very, very broad view, but it gives you at least an idea of what the trends are going to be in the next 2 weeks. And when we look at the North Atlantic oscillation, which is, it's basically the pressure changes in the North Atlantic, we're positive. That usually favors weather systems to move from west to east. Right now, we have too much ridging in the eastern part of the United States because of the negative PNA and the positive North Atlantic oscillation, or NAO. The weather systems are moving from west to east in a progressive fashion in Canada, but they're not reaching far enough south to give us real relief. Well, that NAO is forecast to drop rather sharply toward the neutral line, say around August 12th, August 13th, and then just sort of hang there. So you've got things going on here in the upper atmosphere that suggest a bit of a pattern realignment going forward, and that's been at least indicated by the GFS, to a lesser extent to the Canadian, and an even lesser extent the European. But I would give it some time to see if those other models catch up, because the GFS today was pretty consistent here. So you've got your ridges. This is going into Saturday and Sunday, and you'll notice in terms of the upper flow, is pretty much from the southwest. You've got your upper high that's sort of connected to the heat ridge to the west. It's not particularly strong, but it's strong enough to keep us in humidity and heat. Although I don't think we're going to see these extreme temperatures over the weekend, at least. The ridge is going to stay in control in the east, but as we go into next week, particularly as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, you'll notice that the heat ridge in the west moves more to the west into the Rockies and starts to push itself up into northwestern Canada. So this was the flow I just drew for this weekend. Now it's going to change as we get to, this is Wednesday. You start to get the beginnings of some troughing in the east. There's an upper low in Hudson Bay. Your heat ridge has now moved up into the Rockies. And meanwhile, what was, say, the Bermuda high has weakened quite a bit and pushed itself a little bit further to the south. Well, as we go through this, that trough in the east, that upper low strengthens and drops down toward and into New England. And that creates a rather cool flow here if this verifies. And this would be the end of next week, probably arriving around starting on Thursday, perhaps. Certainly, we would get dew point relief out of this, and considering how strong that upper low is, I think you would get some temperature relief as well. Wouldn't be shocked if this were to verify. We would be talking about temperatures maybe in the 70s to around 80 for daytime highs, which would be quite nice. And actually, that upper low hangs around into next weekend. And also, by the way, notice what's going on up north of the Azores toward Greenland, and then up in central Canada. There's a bit of blocking action going on there, and that's part of that North Atlantic oscillation, or the NAO, going negative. So that's a definite, the models have been sort of hinting at this for the last 10 days or so. We're finally getting into the time frame that maybe it's got a better handle on it. We're still not quite there because we're talking about days 8, 9, and 10. Actually, even starting from day 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if we're still seeing this over the weekend, I think we can put it to bed the idea that this is going to be the never-ending heat wave, and start thinking about the fact that we are going to see a significant change later next week. And that upper low kind of hangs around, and there's quite a bit of blockiness here in northern Canada and over Greenland, right in here. That's all higher than normal pressures, which is basically suppressing the Canadian jet further to the south. So if you want to get rid of the heat and humidity, that's exactly what you want to see. And then, of course, your heat ridge is sitting now back in Oklahoma and Texas, and it's on the flattish side. It's not punched up toward the plains. It's kind of on the flattish side because of the building pressures in North America. It's forcing that Canadian jets coming down and kind of pressing it pressing it down. And that upper low just sits there, and then you get more troughing. Now we're at the August 19th, August 20th. Now, is it going to be like this? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's going to be a higher chance for error as we move deeper and deeper in time. But I think it's encouraging for those of you who are looking for, because there are some of you that love this heat. I mean, and humidity. I'm not one of those people. But if you are someone who would prefer a better, some better air to come down out of Canada, well, you may have your shot here if these models do verify. As I said, if we start to see you start to see, like as I said, the models carrying this over the weekend, we will be very encouraged with the pattern break idea for later next week. So in the meantime, what's going to happen going forward? So you notice tonight, this is at 8 o'clock, kind of matches up pretty well with what we showed you on the radar. Those storms are going to disappear now. There's a little bit of activity overnight in western Pennsylvania and down to western Kentucky and Tennessee. This is the cold front, the weather front, let's call it, that's moving through for Friday. And again, there might be some scattered thunderstorms that develop in the early afternoon. And then you get what looks like maybe more of the attempt of perhaps a little bit of a line. Depending on which model I show you, it's going to show you a different look on the surface. But this would sort of go along with what WPC says, which is the idea that the severe weather risk will be mainly confined to that area in Virginia and maybe into Maryland right in here. And perhaps we won't have an extension. Maybe it'll be a little bit more active than indicated. And then on Saturday, with that, as Joe Rayo put it so well yesterday, the corpse of that cold front just right along the coast and basically falling apart because the Bermuda high is building back westward. We'll probably have just maybe a stray shower or thunderstorm on Saturday widely scattered. Most of you won't see it. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s. Tomorrow we're going to be upper 80s and low 90s. I think there'll be more clouds around. The humidity level is going to be very high. No humidity break on Saturday for the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states. We're going to see temperatures on Saturday probably middle to upper 80s because with the front dying, there'll probably be some leftover clouds around. And then Sunday, I think we may see the heat return to where temperatures may rise up to, say, 90 to 95. I don't think we're going to go to 100, but we could certainly go 90 to 95, and maybe the same on Monday. Other than scattered showers and thunderstorms in the southeast and in the Gulf and in the south and along the Gulf Coast, scattered around in the afternoon and evening, there's going to be very little, if any, activity with regards to showers and storms in the Northeast through Monday. Now, Tuesday, we have a weak weather front that approaches. Maybe we'll get some showers and storms as that goes by. That high that you see there up near Lake Superior moves fairly quickly to the east. Perhaps it causes the front to stall out, and for the middle part of next week, it's hard to say, how real that is. And then beyond that, we wait for Thursday with a stronger front that comes through that actually it doesn't really produce very much, but it does kick out that stalled frontal zone, and then we get into some drier and cooler air for the end of next week and into next week, and then maybe even some rain chances if the model's correct with this idea of disturbances that are dropping down from the northwest. So Joe Rayo is now with us, I think.
Yes.
Hi. So I basically did the whole show already. So
here's the thing. When we realized that we were not going to have our power by 7:30, we decided that we were going to go to the German American Club, which Renata is a director. And what we decided upon was we would run back here to the house and pick up the laptop, go to the German American Club, and
do it from there.
The show, or at least try to do it from there. I even said maybe we ought to text you and say this is what we were going to try, because I said he probably is going to do a very short show. He's going to do one where he'll be over said and done by 8 o'clock. And
pretty much
we grabbed the laptop. We headed down the road where we live. We came to all of the the cherry picker and the electric company, NYSEG. They were kind of semi-blocking the road. And just as we were moving past them, Renata rolls the window down and says, "When are we going to have power?" And the guy said, "You have it already. We just turned it on." So we did a U-turn, came back up the road, and we literally got here like 5 minutes ago, and I had to power everything back up.
Well, wonderful. Yes. Well, thank you for being here tonight. Thanks, everybody, for watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show. How did you get to see any weather maps this afternoon at all?
I did get a glimpse of the GFS from the 12Z showing that there was going to be a pretty, in fact, quite a surge of dry northwesterlies and cool air from Canada around the 12th or 13th. Now, did you see that?
I did. And the 18Z is every bit as robust with that idea. And in fact, I will bring up a graphic here. Hold on. I'm going to do the 2-meter temperature anomalies for later next week. We set
Billy
that
the Kid,
up.
Of course, on the chat board, Billy the Kid said, "I pray that your food did not spoil in the heat." Well, Billy, we were only out of power for 3 hours, and we didn't open the refrigerator or the freezer door in that time. And actually, the house, all things considered, was just cool. So, if it had been 3 days, yeah, we would have had a problem. But 3 hours, I don't think that would have been much of a problem at all.
Right. Well, I just dealt with the fact that I had my refrigerator die. So, but fortunately I had so much meat in my refrigerator that it was frozen solid in the freezer, it was frozen solid like a rock, so I was able to move it along. But I can understand, the hesitation there. Of course, Billy has to take it to this natural
Well,
Armageddon
he's talking about,
conclusion.
I mean, yeah, and he said, was the power grid compromised in your area? No, it was not. In fact, when you call to find out when there will be the power will come back, they usually tell you how many customers are affected. Now,
Right.
in most cases, in the 20 some odd years that we've lived here, when they talk about 1,500 customers, we know that there's a broad zone here in the this part of Putnam Valley that is affected. We only had 297 customers affected, so it was probably very localized, and we saw for ourselves it was localized. It may have very well have been a transformer that blew out or something, because they were very quick. They came up, they replaced or they switched out or they repaired whatever it was, and everybody on our block, and our block runs from here 7/10 of a mile down the hill and 7/10 of a mile down the other side of the hill. So it really was not anything significant or major. It's not something that we had to wait many, many, many hours for. And so there we go. It was just something local. Probably just couldn't take the last I saw, Joe, from here in our vicinity on our weather equipment here, 97. And I know that Poughkeepsie got to 99
Right.
today.
Yes, they
So
did.
it was hot. It
Uh,
was hot.
Newark was very interesting because I happened to be looking at it when Newark hit 99, and when I pulled up the actual current looked at the current temperature. This was at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and when I looked at the current temperature, it was 91, and the temperature had dropped like 8 degrees. Uh, so in 1 hour. And
Wow.
naturally, it wasn't the sea breeze, Joe. It was weather manipulation that did that. I'm bringing that up because there's an idiot that posted on the chat board. Sometimes I think I tell you I should let the moderators just leave those morons on there because um, some of the stuff that I've seen in the last couple of days along those lines has been really just beyond comprehension. But that's all I'm going to say about it. We're on the payroll by Volyak. BIVOUAC if you're still 4382 if you're still watching. Joe and I are on the payroll. We get paid regularly by the HARP people, okay? I hope that makes you happy. And we're going to track you down. So there. More importantly, Joe, David Fuller hit Super Chat, and he wants to know, he's going down to Wildwood, and he's hoping that there's no lantern flies. I don't know if you heard about this, but there were lantern flies all over the Jersey beaches, uh, the North Jersey
What
beaches.
are those like with gold or
No, it's
yellow?
one of these invasive type insects that arrived in the Northeast, but particularly in New Jersey, and they were literally all over the beaches. I saw some pictures. I can't imagine that can't be fun to have all these insects all over the place.
I'm looking here. The spotted lanternfly.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So David says, looking about Wildwood Friday into Saturday. So here's the issue. The these thunderstorms, if they develop tomorrow, if they move offshore and hold together, which they may not do, that could possibly cause a little bit of upwelling, but I really wouldn't worry too much about it. The Bermuda High builds right back in, so you're gonna excuse me, you're gonna pretty much immediately go to a wind direction that's going to be favorable to keep the water warm down there. So let's hope. The only thing about Saturday is that there's probably going to be a lot of some leftover clouds around by the. I fell in love with what you said yesterday, called the corpse of that cold front. I think. I don't have Billy the Kid says, I pray you can. Don't pray, okay? Don't pray that I can tolerate the high heat. I'm not some invalid, all right? It's doubly bad down south. No. Do you know what my high was today here, Joe? 83. I had blue sky and sunshine all day. My high was 83, and I happened to check the temperature when I hit 83, at Brasstown Bowl, the mountain, the Georgia's highest peak, which is literally 10 miles from my house. It was 76 up there. So no, I'm not suffering from the heat. Yes, the apocalyptic Billy the Kid. It's where I think he's just I'm starting to really believe the idea that nobody can be like that, and that he's just playing a character here, and just putting up this stuff because he knows it gets a rise on me. Ugh. Anyway, enough of that. What were we talking about? The lanternfly. All right.
Yeah, I've seen like
So,
three pictures of this thing.
yeah, just now I forgot what the train of thought was when we went off. We were talking about something else. But
You're saying it was evasive and it was in South Jersey and all kinds of problems down there.
right,
And
right. Well, look, just going back to the idea of that front, the GFS showed this. It's just so typical of that model where it shows it in the long range in that 270 to 360 time frame. It showed that deep trough because if you remember, there was a couple of days last week that we mentioned that maybe there would be a real break coming at the end of next week, starting around the 11th, which is Thursday. And then,
right.
as typical, the model backs off from it. It disappears, it changes, and then it goes back to that idea. And I think that's what we're in the process of doing. Now, the Canadian is not as robust as the GFS was with the troughing. The European is not quite as robust either. The GFS has done this a few runs in a row now. So what I said earlier before you joined the show was that if we're still seeing this over the weekend, I think we can feel a lot more confident that there's going to be a significant break in this later next week. But otherwise, it's just going to be like you're in a hot sponge. I was looking at the dew point forecast for Sunday. It's like basically dew points between 70 and 75, and temperatures up into the lower 90s. It's hard to believe with that you can't even generate a scattered shower or thunderstorm. I mean, that's how hideous this dry pattern is. I mean, you just can't even buy a downpour or a thunderstorm right now.
Yeah, and just to go along with what you just said, I checked out the uh, the plumes
Yeah.
for New York and LaGuardia, and it shows that dew points basically through the entire range of the plume forecast 70 to 75. You look to see that there's a confluence of all of these models that they're taking into, and then there's the one black line that shows the mean, and you're looking for the thin line that indicates 70, at least for the dew point, seeing when it's going to drop below that, and it doesn't. It doesn't. It just stays above 70. So you're right. It's going to be like being inside of a sponge, a warm, uncomfortable sponge, until we get into that pattern. Hopefully, by the time we get to, well, I guess it's going to be, looking here, it looks like it's going to be around, it looks like it's going to be sometime next week, next
Yeah.
Thursday, when things begin to transition to that hopefully cooler and drier and much less humid weather pattern for the end of next week. So grin and bear it, folks. It looks like we're going to have to deal with this for a while. I said to my daughter, we were walking to the backyard where the pool is, and I'm looking at the lawn, and I said, I really am tempted. I'd really like to cut the lawn, but that's not productive because if I cut the lawn, and the heat continues. Joe, we have not had, by the way, rain aside from a few sprinkles, a little spotty mist or drizzle. We have not had any significant rain here at my house now. Today marked day, I think, 18. 18 straight days without any kind of significant precipitation. And now there's big, huge patches of brown out in the front and out in the back. And it just, as I said, the only positive I find out of all of this is that white clover, which was covering my lawn up until a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was very aggravating. The clover is gone. So not even the clover could withstand all of the dry, hot weather that we've had for these past few weeks.
By the way, Newark had its driest July on record.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with that, the problem with those measurements right now is the fact that the other stations that didn't set records for dryness. They had drier than normal, lower than normal rainfall amounts. Those are areas that may have gotten hit by whatever scattered thunderstorms that we had from time to time during the month. So that could throw the numbers off. You might have even an odd spot that actually had normal rainfall, but I would imagine that those spots are probably few and far between. I got the dew point map for next week. If this were to verify with respect to that air mass, that setup that setup with the upper low dropping down into southeastern Canada and New England, and you can take a look at these are the dew points, and we're starting with Tuesday, and wherever it's green, you want the green, okay? You want the green. You don't want the dark brown. You don't want even the lighter brown, because those are dew points that are in the upper 60s to around 70. At the very least, you want that yellow right before the green, but you definitely want the green. Now, this is Tuesday. And you notice there is actually a little bit of dew point relief because we got another one of these weak weather fronts that's going to go by. So there's a little bit of dew point relief Tuesday night into Wednesday. Not much. Most of it is up in upstate New York and up into New England. And then, of course, the main game is going to be when the front comes through Thursday. And Thursday afternoon, there's some dew points that get down into the 40s all the way down into parts of West Virginia. You're starting to get into the drier air, but the real dry air comes on Friday and beyond. Now look at these, Joe. Dew points down. Albany dew point 41 by Friday afternoon. There's a 42 dew point. I guess I don't know what that is, where that is in eastern Pennsylvania. It looks like halfway up I-81, wherever that is. It's a 42 print. Might as well get it a little. Let me get a little closer. Probably be better if I use the Eastern Regional map here. And yeah, 41 dew point at Newark next Friday afternoon. Saturday morning, the dew point 45, 42 in the afternoon, 39 dew point at Albany, 39 in Springfield, Mass. Even down by me, the dew point gets down to about 60, which ain't too shabby. And 50s dew points into North Carolina. So that's a really significant push of drier air, and it's more, and it lasts about 3 days, 3 or 4 days, which is a good thing. And with respect to the temperature anomalies, which I think I show the temperature anomalies before? Did I run through that map? Maybe that's what it was I forgot to do. Okay, but these are the temperature anomalies. You can see starting with Friday, you have a fairly large area of below normal from the Great Lakes to the northeast, down the Appalachians, and it increases even more by Friday afternoon. By Saturday morning, you're talking about temperatures running maybe about 5 degrees below normal, and then going through the next weekend and beyond. Still holding on to below normal temperatures until we get to maybe Monday afternoon, get back to near or just a little bit above normal on the daytime high, and then we start to warm up again. But again, let's see if we see this over the weekend, if the model's still going to be showing a robust upper low, because it did do that a couple of times during the month of July where it showed it, and then it wound up being a lot weaker. So I think we just have to wait on to proclaim a verdict on that.
Well, here there are two two specific weather years for this date, August the 4th, that I want to bring to everybody's attention. First of all, 1995, which this day was a Friday in 1995, August the 4th. 11 of the past 12 days had high temperatures. This is for Central Park now, in the 90s. 11 out of 12, including a stretch of 7 in a row. During this streak, the highest temperature was 96, which occurred twice. And one of them was today, August 4th, 1995. The one day that didn't reach into the 90s had a high of only, he said, 88. And then 2 years ago, we were visited by a tropical weather system. It came 4 weeks after the city was lashed by Tropical Storm Faye, an intense tropical storm, Isaias. We remember Isaias.
Well, today's the anniversary of the
blew through the area today. packing quite a punch. Because the center of the storm moved further inland than anticipated, New York City was spared heavy rain, but winds gusted to 48 miles per hour in Central Park, 78 miles per hour at Battery Park City in Lower Manhattan, and 68, 69, and 70 mile per hour winds, respectively, at Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK airports. While only 0.55 inches of rain fell from daybreak through lunchtime in Central Park, most of it between 11 a.m. and noon, 4+ inches flooded eastern Pennsylvania, and although it wasn't associated with Isaias, there was a severe thunderstorm late the previous night, which dumped practically as much rain in 30 minutes as what fell earlier in the day or earlier this morning. So you had 2 years ago Isaias, and you had back in 1995, 25 and 27 years ago, a string of 11 out of 12 days of 90+ degree temperatures. You think it's been hot recently? Try that on precise back 27 years ago in 1995.
Yeah, no, this is child's play at the moment. David Fuller hitting super chat again, pointing out that he sees a thunderstorm is firing up near where he is in Monmouth County. So I'm just going to quickly bring up the Fort Dix radar, so we can also see that complex of downpours that's moving into southeastern PA. The stronger storms there are further south, but there's a couple of cells there. I'm going to get that map back up so I can see what it is I'm looking at. It looks like they are they're actually northwest of you, unless you're in northwestern Monmouth County, but there's a strong cell that is headed your way. It looks like it's passing just south of Plainfield and sliding to the east-northeast. It's a small thunderstorm, but it is there. Meanwhile, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning has popped up between Philadelphia and Allentown as of 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings on the Delmarva Peninsula into Delaware and in eastern Maryland. So the southern part of that complex is actually quite active, and we're getting a little bit of stuff there on the northern edge. And then what was in northwest New Jersey actually completely fell apart. So you're not getting anything up your way, Joe. Not a flake,
Yes, no kidding.
not a raindrop, not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing.
No kidding. Incidentally, at Westchester County Airport in White Plains, the high today, at least so far, the high recorded 92. We were within 1 degree of the record for today, which was set in 1989 of 93 degrees. So
low
we came
hanging fruit.
so close to, yeah, we came so close to tying a record. And again, it may, when we get into later tonight, and they, give us the final tally, we may have tied it, but we know we came within at least 1 degree of that record high today.
Okay. All right. So you know what? It's coming up on 8:23. I think we can wrap up the show for tonight. We have to make a little change for Sunday, Joe. I got something to do during the day, so if everything if it works for you, we could move the show to Sunday evening. That would be
Okay.
if it works for you, that would be great for me. So
Okay.
let's say does 7 o'clock work for you?
It does. So we'll see
Awesome.
you at 7 on Sunday.
7 o'clock.
Unless I lose power again.
Yes. Well, look, just make sure they got their hamsters in the wheel and that they're turning it so that they can make the electricity, so that you
Yeah.
don't have this problem.
Hey, I 20 years. They've done better. Let me just say NYSEG, which is my power company, they've done a lot better over recent years or whatever. When we first moved up here, though, in 2002, and for the years that followed, it was like I got worried every time the winds got above 35 miles an hour,
Right.
or every time we cracked 90 or 95 degrees here. I said, "Oh my God, we're going to lose," and we always did.
Well,
So,
that's kind of like
yeah.
that's what I deal with whenever we have uh, when we have really windy days of 35, 40 miles an hour. I lose power, but they're actually pretty good about bringing it back very quickly. So I think there was one time where I had the power was out for maybe about 3 or 4 hours, but that really was the rest of them have all been quite short, half an hour or less, and sometimes even as little as 10 minutes. So, all right. So Sunday, folks, 7 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday, which means that you have between now and then to enjoy the weather. Hopefully, you've got a beach nearby, or you can get to a beach or a pool that is going to be spongy for quite a while yet. And then maybe we could
Yeah.
start think maybe we'll be on Sunday and we could say yes on the idea that there's going to be a significant break in the pattern coming later next week. Until then, we suffer. Okay. Have a great night. Thanks for the super chat hits, everybody. Happy birthday to Chuck Cardillo. And
Oh, happy birthday, Chuck.
yes, and we'll see you all on Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Nighty night.